Hi everyone, it's Evangeline here at etrailer, and today we'll be taking a look at the Hollywood Racks Destination 4-bike platform rack right here on our 2022 Volkswagen Taos. So this is going to be an affordable 4-bike platform rack, and of the bike racks that are in the same price range, I actually think this is the best affordable 4-bike platform rack. So we'll talk about those different specs and those different features and what makes this what I think is the best, and compare them or focus on our Volkswagen Taos today. That way you can see what is the better fit for you, your different types of bikes, and your vehicle. Now, the downside of an affordable platform rack is that usually they don't tilt away. So if you want to access your hatch, you are going to have to take your bike off. So let's talk about the way our bike is mounted to this rack. We have 3 touch points. So 1 and 2 are going to be your wheel straps, and then your third is going to be this frame mount. And this is where it shines, where the other bike racks don't. That frame mount is very versatile. So this can move side to side, up and down, and even around, so that it can carry those frames of different shapes and different sizes. When you want to take your bike off though, you start at the wheel straps. We have this lever here. You just press that lever, that disengages that strap. It's going to bring it all the way out and just slide it over to the side so it's not caught up in our spokes. So that's one strap, and let's do the second strap. We have a lever here. Press the lever, lift up on the strap, bring that over to the side. Then we're going to do the frame mount. So this is going to be tricky once you have your 4 bikes on there, because then you're going to have to kind of figure out a way to reach around all the other bikes. So what I do is I just use kind of like my elbow to support the bike with one hand as I disengage the strap with the other. Once that's out of the way, you then grab your bike, and notice how short our mast is. That makes it easier just to go over the mast, and we're ready to go on a bike ride. With the bike off, we get to take a closer look at the bike rack itself. This has a weight capacity of 35 pounds per bike, which is pretty standard for your platform racks. We do have these straps, and these can be moved up and down to accommodate for different wheelbases, with a maximum wheelbase of 48 inches. And notice the way our cradles are shaped. So you can see how they can carry those tires of different shapes and sizes. I actually started calling them the wings because of the way they're designed. The maximum tire width you can carry with this bike rack is going to be up to 3 inches. So with that weight capacity and that tire width, if you do have extra heavy electric bikes or extra wide fat tire bikes, this might not be the best fit for you. We talked about how this bike rack cannot tilt away with the bikes off, but what if you take the bikes off? Can you open up your hatch? As you can see here, even with the mast up, we just barely have clearance between our door and our mast, so we can then reach into our trunk, grab our waters, our helmets, our backpacks, anything we need. So it does take time to take off that bike, but then at least you don't have to completely take off the bike rack. Now you can also bring this mast down. So to do so, we have a knob here. You're going to turn that knob just enough to loosen it, and then that will allow you to take this stand out of the way. Don't forget to tighten back down on that knob. And then once that's tightened down, you just bring this mast down. Now, a thing about the destination is you kind of have to figure out what is the best fit for you. So what I like to do is I like to use either the frame strap or the wheel straps to secure the mast in the down position. Just don't tighten them too much because they can tend to bend. Now, if you are carrying around a lot of bikes, you're also going to have to consider a lot of space is going to be added to the back of your Taos. So, measuring from our bumper to the end of the bike rack, which is by these nice white reflectors, that sits at 37.5 inches. So whenever you're backing into your garage or parking into a tight spot, don't forget that you have that clearance to think about. Good thing though is you do have a compact SUV, so you have plenty of space to spare. Now let's talk about ground clearance. Ground clearance will be measured at different points depending on what you are looking for. So at the end of the wings, this sits at 14.5 inches. At the end of the center of the bike rack, that sits at 19 inches. Compare that to how high your hitch receiver sits up, which is only 8 inches. So you can see here how we have the shank rise, and that way your bike sits higher up off the ground. With your Taos, with such low ground clearance, pretty much any accessory needs to have that shank rise, because as you go up those steep inclines, like those driveways or hills, your front will go up, your back will go down, and you want to make sure that your bikes don't hit the ground. Now, with this being a big bulky bike rack, although not as heavy as your other 4-bike platform racks, what if you want to take your bikes out, not just yet, but a little later on, and you don't want to take your bike rack off just yet? So what you can do is you can fold this up. We have a clip here, take that clip out, and then you rotate this knob, which is holding your bike rack in place. You can just let that swing as you lift up at the end of the bike rack. This is actually pretty lightweight. Fold this up, make sure it's lined up with that hole, and then put that bolt back in and tighten that back down. And don't forget to put the clip back in place to secure it. Let's take some measurements in the portable position. Closest point is going to be from our bumper to, I'd like to say, our frame mounts, and that is about 2 inches of clearance there, so plenty of clearance. The length now added to the back of our Taos is going to be from the bumper to the end of our shank, and that sits at, I'd like to say, 10 3/4 or 11 inches. So big difference compared to when this was folded down. You'll want it in this position when you're just planning on going around town and you don't want to take up too much space. But what is it like living with a bike rack behind your vehicle? Well, notice how even though we do have a 4-bike platform rack, this still does not cover any of our rear windows. So that's nice to see. Now we do kind of cover our taillights right over here in the center of that one piece, but our taillights are still mainly visible. What it does cover is our backup camera, which sits right there, and our license plate. If that is a huge deal for you, you could just ride around with it in the down position. This has a 2-inch shank, which fits into our 2-inch hitch receiver. We have an anti-rattle bolt and a lock. Now that anti-rattle bolt uses a 3/4 inch socket with a wrench or a 3/4 inch wrench. We have those here at etrailer if you want to pick one up to keep with your car, or if you need to uninstall your hitch. But the way the anti-rattle bolt works is once you have that tightened down, and I'm gonna just try to shake our bike rack to simulate that road movement and vibration. Notice how this is actually a really sturdy rack, and I'm moving the vehicle at this point. If you think you're getting any extra movement, just double check that bolt over there by the mast and make sure that's threaded down too. Here on our test course, we'll start by going through the slalom. This is going to show us the side-to-side action, which simulates turning corners or evasive maneuvers. Once we get to the alternating speed bumps, we'll see the twisting action. This will simulate hitting a curb or a pothole, or driving over uneven pavement. My personal thoughts about this bike rack is I definitely recommend it if you are looking for a 4-bike affordable platform rack. You get the price point of a hanging rack, but the portability as well as the sturdiness of a platform rack. If you're looking for something a little bit more premium, something that can tilt away, you may want to check out the Kuat Transfer V2 4-bike rack that has a goal post design that helps keep this middle area open and makes it a lot easier than this, so you don't have to reach over the entire rack to load up your bikes. But other than that, this definitely checks off most of your boxes. You have those unique wing style cradles that helps you with bikes of different wheelbases and shapes and sizes. Definitely an overall solid rack for its price. So this was a look at the Hollywood Racks Destination 4-bike platform rack right here on our 2022 Volkswagen Taos.